I just want to say a few words about KI repression and trauma work and what can be done with this work, what can be processed and transmuted and transcended and transformed within us. Or in other words, how can we come back to our natural sense of being through KI trauma and repression work. And I'm going to explain this via example, through example. And I try to use a very simple language because actually our traumas are also very simple. It just feels complex, unseen, and unresolvable until it stays in the unconscious, until it's unconscious. And while it is unconscious and unseen and unprocessed, it feels like it's bigger than us. So I will share my experience with KI trauma and repression work and how it's been transforming me, into myself. The way I just felt myself before all my traumas, something like this. So first I explored the anger within me, and I am sure many of you can relate to that being angry as a child or something, like just being angry because I'm not loved. I'm angry. They should love me. She should love me. I don't get the love. She's not giving it to me. And like the anger, like, love me, love me, love me. You should love me. Or he hurts me. He shouldn't hurt me. I hate you. Like different expressions of anger because of what's happening, because of the trauma or abuse, or because of I don't get something. So I just get angry. As a child, often I feel when I'm inquiring into these things that I'm a child or something, like a younger self or something, a vulnerable self or something. And so this is still the repressed form of anger. Like, you should love me. I have to get their love. You should love me. You should care about me. You should see me, see me, see me, see me, see me. Don't do this. I hate you. Like different forms of anger. And if we can open this anger, and if we make it conscious experientially through somatic processing inquiry like KI, then after a while we will see that there is a shutdown in our system, a shutdown or freeze or dissociation. It will evoke this shutdown and dissociation or freeze in our body as a state or something, a feeling. Because why? Because through the experience, through the trauma, we developed unconsciously since childhood. As a child, actually, we developed, because the experience was so strong, we developed beliefs through the experience that they should love me. She should love me in that way, in a certain way. But she doesn't. So I developed the belief to ease myself and to ease the experience. It was so unconscious and innocent that she should be a different way towards me. She should care about me in that way. And that's innocent and that's honest. And maybe it should have been in that way, but it wasn't. So it became a belief through the experience. Or he shouldn't hurt me. He should love me. He should care about me. He should protect me. Should. Shoulda, woulda, coulda, as they say in America, one of my friends. So these are beliefs, because certain things couldn't happen through these people, through our parents. We developed these beliefs, these strong beliefs, because of the experience, because certain things couldn't happen. There were like missing experiences, or the trauma was just so strong. And so, because as we go with the anger repression work, because it's still the repressed form of anger, being angry with them, like the righteous anger, the blaming anger, or whatever, that comes from our trauma, if we really see the anger and these are just beliefs, we created these beliefs because they behaved in a certain way within themselves and with us. That was the reality, yeah? That happened. That was what happened, okay? So for example, if my mom hated me and didn't want me, I created the belief that she should love me and want me and take care of me, etc. That's a belief because she didn't do this, okay? So I created a belief. And once I do the anger repression work through the KI trauma repression work, I will see that these are beliefs that I created through the experience, but it will trigger the shutdown, the freeze or the dissociation in my body, okay? And that's been always here. Making the anger and the beliefs conscious will trigger deeper the shutdown, freeze. I'm saying it again, the shutdown, the freeze or the dissociation in the body mind. And this has been here all your life, okay? It's just becoming more conscious now through the anger repression work. What to do now? Because that's a gateway. The shutdown, the freeze, or the dissociation is a gateway into, I'm going to tell you into what in a moment. But the next step after doing the anger repression work and seeing the unreality of the beliefs, and okay, the shutdown is coming up more. You are more aware of that. So you just want to acknowledge it. We have tools in KI, second and third dimension, especially third dimension repression and trauma work. We have the tool to open this shutdown and very skillfully and compassionately meet it, feel it, open it. And I'm not going to give you advices, and I'm not giving you the tools here because that's a public video, because you don't know how to do it. You have to practice it. You really have to know the tools. And you can't do it just by listening to this video. So with KI, very skillful and skillful tools, we very compassionately, we are very present in the process. We open this shutdown or freeze in the body. And then as we open it, we start to feel the unmet emotions that we couldn't feel back then. Maybe we identified with it consciously, but we couldn't authentically meet the deeper emotions that happened within us under the repression or within the repression with our parents. We couldn't feel the loss and the grief and the sadness and the hurt that was buried under the anger repression, under the beliefs, within the shutdown or under the shutdown. It's hard to find the words at that point. And then we start to feel these unmet emotions. And because of the unmet emotions, this deep, deep layer of our repression and trauma, we were angry, we created the beliefs, we got shut down because it wasn't met. So now, with the skills that we learn through the third dimension practice and through the compassion that we have with ourselves, we are finally able to meet these unmet emotions within ourselves, this vulnerability, these vulnerable parts, these vulnerable emotions. And by doing so, and it's not a one-time sitting, it's not a one session or something. You have to learn this to do it for yourself, or to have a facilitator for a while to really learn this, because it's deep, 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 deep repression and trauma work. You can't just do it just because you listen to this video and you decide to meet these parts. You can't. That's a really deeply embedded mechanism. So with KI, you learn how to do the second dimension work, beliefs, repressed form of anger or something like this. And then gradually, you go into third dimension work, repression and trauma work through that, meeting the shutdown, the freeze, opening it, feel it, making it conscious in the body. And through that, these unmet emotions starts to come up, the vulnerable part, okay? So that's how it works. It's like a cycle of inquiry to bring it up repetitively. That's trauma and repression work, KI. And if you can stay with it, not many can stay with it in that depth. If you can still stay with it and repetitively bring it up through KI third dimension inquiry and processing, because that's processing by bringing it up somatically, experientially, with very skillful and compassionate tools of KI, you will feel, and I can speak from experience, that I gradually feel, I've been feeling that something changes, like something changes, like I can just see the reality of what happened in my childhood. Like there is this woman who's supposed to be my mother. There is this man who's supposed to be my father, who I call father. But now I just see them as a woman and as a man with their own stuff, with their own traumas, with their own repression, with their own behavior or something that got created through that. And this deficiency or neediness is less and less. Like it feels surreal, even like, I don't know, it's just like something that I dreamed for a long time or something, because I was unconsciously identified into it. But by meeting the anger, the shutdown, and the unmet vulnerable emotions, something changes or transmutes or something, and transformation happens. And finally, I just feel like whole within myself, like complete, like I don't need anyone, the need for love or the need to believe that it should have done, they should have done it in a different way. It just sounds now like I can't relate to that, because that was the reality and that's who I am today. And it just feels like that's how it was. And I feel whole and complete within myself, because I now met the anger, the shutdown, and the vulnerable emotions within myself. So I don't need to do this. I don't need anyone to be myself and to anyone to do it for me, you know, because there was a strong compulsion for a while, wanting, because I was so identified with the deficiency, with the lack and the wound, that I was still stuck in that, like, give me, you have to love me, I have to get their love, I have to stay connected, etc. You know, like that was the compulsion that was coming from the lack and deficiency. And it's been transforming greatly and deeply thanks for KI repression and trauma work. Like I cannot even relate to these things anymore that much. So whatever couldn't happen back then with mom and dad can happen. This growing up, this transformation, and this processing, through the processing, it can happen now. And I can grow up. I can take responsibility for my emotions, for myself, for what I'm doing. And I just feel whole within myself. So that's the process. And I just wanted to share it publicly also, because we can't share the process and the tools and etc. public, because it takes time to learn these tools. And we can't put just some of it out there, because then we just trigger the shit within you, and then you don't know what to do with it. So, but I still wanted to share how KI repression and trauma works, you know, in the long term, that you learn the tools, you learn the method, you learn to stay with the process, and you go through a transformation and you find your authentic natural self, like human self. Yeah, I also feel like I can be like a human, just Serena, just me, you know, not just a bunch of traumas and repression. And yeah, I'm still in the process, but I just wanted to share that it's possible, guys, it's possible. And yeah, I wish you all to experience this and just take the courage to go into it.